Dave got in touch with me. He's absolutely gutted. He's just paid to have a brand new bathroom, all limestone, all the floors limestone, and it started leaking, and it's come through his kitchen ceiling. Water was just absolutely gushing through here and trickling through here as well. So we're going to get this all fixed up for them and show you how we're going to cut this out and repair it with the minimum amount of disturbance. This video is sponsored by Incogni. When this leak happened, Dave's lovely wife, who you'll see later in the video, was home alone. Dave was away. The emergency was happening. Unfortunately, she didn't go into panic mode. She knew where the stopcock was, which brings me to a question. Does everyone in your house know how to turn the water off? It literally takes 2 seconds to show everyone where the stopcock is and how to turn off if you're having a flood. But have you done it? Let me know in the comments. Right there, see that? Yeah. Perfect, don't move. Is this how you'd cut the plasterboard? What I've found is trying to cut the plasterboard to fit in the holes doesn't work. You always end up with gaps. So what I prefer to do is make the hole to fit the plasterboard. And rather than making lots of little ones and having to use loads of it for timber, I find it easier just to cut out a nice big section and replace the whole bit. Now, I am trying to swerve around the spotlights because it just saves any extra work of having to cut new spotlights out. Although, there is one that I've got to do, and you'll see that in a second. Yeah. Hi. Nice shape. Yeah. You're probably thinking, why don't I cut it all the way up to the wall? But then I've got to scrim and join into the wall and start blending plaster down the wall. Okay, so we've cut all that out. We're going to reattach this plasterboard to the ceiling where it's sagged a little bit there. There's good, there's good. We're going to put a few extra screws in and tie it all back in and then replace that bit of board. See these 2 nails here? They're quite tight in next to the plasterboard, so it's hard trying to get the hammer to pull them out because they're just popping off. And I don't want to damage any more of this, so I'm just going to cut them off. You can see we've already put SBR around the patch. That's why it looks wet around the hole, and that's because we want the SBR to start drying as soon as possible so we can get the plaster straight on. Is it just the one bit that you put the pencil mark on? Is it?
It is the one bit, but it's not that. You can play with it.
Yeah, right, you start screwing that up and I'll put that there. No, thank you. No, we're not interested, thanks. Thanks a lot, bye. Beat it. Have you ever noticed, whenever your van insurance is due, you get about 30 companies ringing you every day? Drive you nuts. Now, that must be about the 4th phone call I've had, which brings me on nicely to the sponsors of today's video, Incogni. You don't know there's a whole industry out there of people selling your information. So when you sign up to something and you put your email address in, everyone wants your email address these days. Companies collect all your information and then they sell it to big data brokers. This is like a whole industry. These brokers get as much information on you as possible. The more they can get, and trust me, they're trying to get as much as possible. The more they can get, the more it's worth to them. That's why your email inbox is full of spam. That's why you get random text messages off companies and you get phone calls galore when your phone is due for renewal or when your van insurance is due for renewal or anything else. As long as you're putting your information online, they're continually harvesting more and more information about you. Now, Incogni, once you register with them and you give them permission to act on your behalf, they repeatedly reach out to these data brokers and force them to delete your information. All you need to do to take your personal data back with Incogni is use the code on the trowel at the link below to get 60% off your annual plan. Thanks, Incogni. Okay, so this is an interesting one. We've got a spotlight that we've got to try and keep in line with these spotlights that are in the ceiling already, and I don't really want to start unwiring it and get involved in the electrics. Put that out the way for a minute. You're going to like this little trick. This is handy if you haven't got a hole saw. Always mark the board so you know which way it goes back in, because if you rotate it, it won't fit. So that joins to there. We call this the vibrator. Okay, so let's make the hole for the light now. We need to be at 70mm hole, I'm going to say. Okay, we need a 70mm hole, so I'm going to cut a little piece of scrim, like so. I'm going to put a little screw in the centre, just touching in, not too far in, just a little bit. And 70mm, half of that is 35mm, which is there, that little hole, like that. There we go. Okay, I'm going to show you a great little trick, because you're going to think that is going to take a long time to keep cutting through there, right? So all you do is just get your screw back in the middle, send it right through, so it's popped out the other side. Put it back in here. Do the same thing again. There you go, there's your 70mm hole. So we've got a nice big joist there, we've got nothing to catch it here. So we're just going to put this piece of timber in here. And that is going to be our little lip that we can screw to. You're probably thinking now, how the heck are you going to get the light in there? Simple. The joists run that way, plasterboard joints run that way. We are just going to cut a plasterboard joint in this, like, doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to meet back up with exactly the same piece. That. Let's see if it fits. Yeah, there we go. It's like it grew there. As snug as a little bug in a rug. Okay, see the thickness difference? This ceiling's been re-skimmed a few times in the past, so there is a good 5, maybe 7mm in areas thickness to be built out. I don't want to skim it that thick, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build it out with a coat of plaster. I'm going to put an accelerator in it and I'm going to let it set, which brings me to my next bit. Come and look at this accelerator. Okay, so you know I love my accelerator in plaster, and these guys, Storm, have sent me their version of accelerator. So 1 scoop per 25 kilograms of multi-finish. Now you know what I'm like. This 1 scoop will be going in for a couple of handfuls of plaster, so it sets like that. But we're going to see what it's like anyway. We'll see what the gear's like, so let's crack it open. Oh, there we go. Okay. And that's it. I wondered if we're putting a level scoop or a heaped scoop.
Big dollar.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 1 full scoop to 1 full bag. So I'm going to play a little bit safe. I'm going to give it half a scoop, say, well, let's say 3/4 of a scoop. It's 1/4 of a bag. That's a little bit more, but you know, we don't want to put too much in it. It's set in the bucket, so we'll just see. We'll see what it's like. We've mixed this fairly thick. Now notice I haven't put the scrims on yet. If you put a scrim on whilst you've got a step, the scrim's going to kick down like this, so it's going to stick out. So I'm going to fill this out flush first, and then I'm going to scrim it once it's filled out. I'll tell you something I find quite funny with making YouTube videos. Since I've started YouTube, I've worked with a few different YouTube creators, and what's interesting is the way they film the videos. Now, when you do video production, people do a little rehearsal and they do a few takes until they're happy. But the problem I have is once the plaster's on, it's on. So I have to just do literally everything off the first take. There's no dress rehearsal when it comes to plastering, and I can't go back and visit people's houses to have another go. So you guys basically get the off-the-cuff version, which I think is the best way. I think that's how it should be. There's going to be people on the video saying, why didn't you use bonding? Because I haven't got any. We didn't bring any. So we're just going to use finish. Because it's exactly the same as what's already up there. Loads of finish. So now we're filled down flush. We're going to put the scrim over the joints. Like so. And to help them stay on, we're just going to bed it on with a little bit of SPR. This just stops the scrims from falling off. Let's get it skimmed now. We're not messing around. Let's give this another go. That worked fantastic. That went off quite quick. So we're going to do the same again. We're going to use a little bit less water, but again, good 3/4 scoop. To save having to blend in down this part, I'm going to just take it all the way up to the wall, and that way I can just clean off the ceiling edge and it's job done, rather than having to blend in right the way around the whole patch. Although that bit was up to the wall and needed tying in with scrim. I'm making sure I get a nice thick coat over the scrims so that when I come to second coat, none of the scrims are going to show through whatsoever. The plaster actually feels really nice to use. That's the beauty of the accelerator. It makes the stuff set faster so you're not wasting time. You can make more money and it improves the quality of the plaster. We're about to get a little surprise visitor. I love you, okay?
Yes, fine, thanks.
Is it looking better?
Amazing. Great, thanks.
You had water coming in everywhere, didn't you?
Yeah. And I was on my own. And I don't know of the setup of the system, so I didn't know if I could still run water or not. So I ended up going to buy 30 litres from the shop.
There's nothing worse when it's leaking, you're putting pans everywhere thinking, what's going on?
I just had Tupperware and buckets everywhere. It's horrendous.
Okay, that now is starting to firm up a little bit. The accelerator is working as planned. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to give it a little splash of water. Like so. This works better if you've got a scratcher. It mixes it faster, but due to my laziness, I'm not going all the way to the van for the scratcher. Now, I want you to be aware of something. When you've got accelerator in the plaster, and then you knock it back up a little bit as well, the accelerator makes it set quick. And when you knock plaster up, that'll also makes it set quick. So now, we've got turbo plaster. Just coming out a little bit past the blend, where the original blend was. And I'm going to have to just get a little wiggle on, as this is setting. Can you imagine the damage if that lady wasn't home as well? Imagine that cold water main had burst and was running for a week with no one home. What would the house look like now? Those tricky little bits to get in and out of things. Making it more interesting. There we go. Right, that's on. The pressure's off. Sam's going to wash out and I'm going to flatten this in. The accelerator has worked a treat, exactly how we wanted it to, so we're not here hours when we don't need to be. Using plenty of water at every stage when blending in makes it so you can do a seamless blend. Just gonna give it a nice polish. Now we've got to this stage, but we're not finished yet. It's been just under 3 hours, so it's been quite a quick job, but we've still got one final test. And all these spotlights are going to fit back in, especially the one where I've cut the hole. Put this little bad boy back in here. The test to see if it fits. Perfect. Ducks on. Okay.
Not that small.
Cheers, guys, and we will see you on the next one. Don't forget to check out the link in the description and get 60% off with Incogni.